no, Lucifron, this is not what you want right now. He's back against the wall. I don't know where he's looking. I guess drop on the bottom side, but his entire army is dead. Every little bit of tempo that he found is dead. Every tiny efficiency. Of course, this is the round of 8 of the EGCtv $10,000 tournament. It is Lucifron. It is Elazer. Of course, Lucifron bottom left, the Vanguard player. Elazer top right in the red. He's playing Infernals. And we're gonna keep the replay. Oh wait, we can hide this part of it. There we go. We're gonna go and we're gonna keep this up just for game clock. I understand it's a little bit ugly, but we do what we can do. So this matchup right now is against one player who is a ladder qualifier. Elazer qualified as top 4 in the ladder to get into the tournament. He breezed through his round of 16 matchup. Maybe a little bit of struggle is not the right word. You know, his opponent did run up against him a little bit, but in general, Elazer just looked, or Lucifron looked really solid. And Elazer didn't qualify through the ladder qualifier. He qualified on through the Katowice special qualifier, tied for first place with Probe. I don't remember actually whether Elazer beat Probe or Probe versus Elazer, but it was 1-2, and that's how we all knew it was going to go. But the trick is that Elazer, despite being there and having to go through the special qualifier, at the time this tournament happened, Elazer was number 4, number 5 on ladder. Elazer is very, very good. He's been playing a ton of Stormgate, and he just barely missed out on the ladder qualifier. He's been up there the entire time. So again, this is a matchup between 2 of the best 5 players by ladder that we have in Stormgate right now. And again, Lucifron, very solid. Elazer, very solid. Elazer also one of these players that has set this meta. So you'll notice that Elazer goes Conclave, gets 1 gone out, mines as much Therium as possible out of this, goes back to mining Luminite, goes back down to the natural, says, I'm going to take a natural, takes the natural, drops the Shrine, then drops the second Conclave. And for now, we're going to just see this. There we go. Imp goes down on the low ground, drops that meat farm. And again, you may think this is a delayed meat farm, and it technically is, but Elazer has spent so much money on the second Conclave and on the Shrine and everything that it does slow the worker production down just a little bit. But he's got this spot right now where these dog builds, these scout builds that are less popular since the nerf, you know, it takes 60 seconds instead of 20 to get Beryllium Claws. I think that's it. I can't remember whether it was Gear Grind or Beryllium Claws, but one of them got their upgrade speed tripled and their cost doubled from 25-25 to 50-50. So Elazer, though, is still being safe, making sure that he is doing everything that he has to do, and we're going to see. He's got this gap for the Gaunts to just hide in the wall and make sure any sort of scout build's not going to be all that great. Now, well, we saw a lot of gas mining, again, coming out of, or ore mining coming out of Elazer, because there's nothing else to do. You mine, at 12 out of 12, you mine like 50 Luminite a minute more than 10 out of 12, but 9 versus 10 is a significant difference. So you optimize it a little bit, and then all the Therium gets pulled onto the natural to fully saturate the natural as Elazer's getting ready to take the third base with all these Gaunts, and he should be able to do so fairly quickly. Meanwhile, Lucifron on the other side, this is a Hornet opener. He's got this hangar bay going down very quickly, but the trick is, and what's going to slow this down just a tiny bit, he doesn't have a solar habitat, which is an upgrade that you can get on your basic habitats. So think like supply depots, except they don't move. But they have 2 upgrades, and one of them speeds up the build time of a unit that they're attached to. It kind of looks like a shield battery, except of course it's targeting, it's allowing something to build faster, not allowing a unit to get healed just a little bit faster. And of course, the other thing they can do is that is a defensive defensive habitat. I actually forget what the name is, but it is a maybe it's a rampart habitat. I forget exactly what, but it casts a shield. It's not 100 HP shield, but it casts a shield on top of buildings and makes them live a little bit longer. It's not the 1000 HP shield though that you get at the tier 2 command post. So for now, the Hornet's going to show up. We're going to see it be as annoying as possible, drop the shield for 10 seconds, and kill as many Gaunts as possible behind this. And this is Lucifron playing aggressive, which is great. That's how it works. This works really well against a lot of ladder Infernal players. This is a solid option against, say, Parting, who is opening also double Conclave into a 4-minute Doombringer drop into this crazy exploding imp play. But we'll notice that Elazer, we're 430 in, he doesn't have a greater Shrine. He's only just now getting done. He hasn't really been mining a ton of Therium. He pulled all off Therium to go mine efficiently out of his natural and saturate it up as quickly as possible. Now he's starting to mine a little bit more here, but again, he slowed that down. In StarCraft 2, we call this a gasless opening, and I guess we call this an oreless opening system. It's not quite Orless, but it is very much reminiscent of more of a Zerg opening than anything else, which is pretty fascinating, right? Because I would argue, as these Hornets are going to dive in and continue to cause some consternation here, 3 Hornets, one of them with a rank 2 is Pain. And this Doombringer, like, it teleported. Oh, yeah, teleported the natural. Okay, so it won't go down. These Hornets continue to be so annoying. Just absolutely obnoxious, making life incredibly hard for Lucifron. And, or excuse me, for Elazer. So they're going to go. The trick is, though, is you can think about Hornet openings kind of in the same way a Zerg player would think about Phoenix openings, where they're annoying, right? They are things you have to deal with, but they can't kill structures. I mean, they can kill Shroudstones fairly quickly, but they're not going to kill a Shrine fairly quickly. So what this means, of course, is that Elazer is kind of given this ability to expand really well, even if he is losing a ton of gaunts, and that is expensive. Losing some imps is annoying. It's kind of this game of, I need a sustain. And behind this, Lucifron, his third base is 5 minutes. It's almost 6 minutes in. His third base is only just now barely getting started. His opponent's on 4 bases. We're seeing imps just in continuous production. And so, yeah, like, Lazer's being slowed down. But from the way that he's playing this game, he's not really intending to do anything. Yeah, Doombringers are annoying, and you would like to go make a drop happen and go from there. But they're not real. This is not some crazy parting 7-minute timing. This is not any sort of aggressive play coming out of our Infernal player. This is an Infernal player that just wants to play as greedy as possible, get to the late game just about as quickly as possible. Now, again, these Hornets continue to find value, and there's a Vulcan drop as well, which is going to shred these gaunts. Vulcans, in the last patch, in the patch on February 13th, they got 1 additional range. So what that means, of course, is that you can actually poke away at the Shroudstone on the high ground, and there's not a whole lot that our Infernal player can do about it. So both Shroudstones get knocked down, but Elazer finds a little bit of an avenue. He's got 8 gaunts trying to find their way onto the other side. So, yeah, this is annoying, and certainly with the evac right there, you can give a little bit more high ground vision, but this drop's going to show up on the third base. And yes, there's a buzzsaw turret right there, but there are probably angles that Elazer can find where there's nothing there, like, say, the main base, where there are 10 mobs mining out all this Therium quick as they can, and there's no defense here whatsoever. So now we're in this bit of a pickle where the Hornets are being annoying. There's a Vulcan on the high ground somehow, and it's trying to get as much damage as it can, but again, Fiends are going to start to spawn on the other side. So Elazer finally getting the value he wants, and the overcharge is slow. So really, at this point, it's damage being done. Hornets on the other side. Weaver's here, so that means that Vulcan will fall. And the mobs are going to have to get pulled into combat, but the mobs having to fight gaunts mean, hey, that's for even with overcharge, means that, hey, that's free feed. So Elazer is in this incredible spot where he's getting damage done on the other side. He's deflected pretty much the entire attack of his opponent. I'm sure these gaunts may eventually go down, but because there's a repair turret. And there are mobs underneath that can repair these Hornets. But the problem is, again, that's a decent amount of mobs going down. That's a ton of economy going down. Luminite and Therium both getting very heavily hindered. There were, I think, about 20 mobs in the natural in the main base, and now there are 9. That's just not a good situation to be in. So, excuse me. Cough, cough, wheeze, wheeze. Now the Hornets are going to have to show up on the other side and get as much damage as they can in response. But the problem is, even as gaunts are really not the best anti-air units, at a certain point they get to enough number where their splash damage does start to become a problem. We're going to see, well, the Hornets are going to try to take the fight right now, but some of these Hornets are very low. They're going to have to get returned to base, or they will just go down. There's a Bob here, and that might allow for a repair, but instead the Hornets are going to run home. And are they going to survive? I think they're okay. Yeah, just barely they're going to be alive. Unfortunately, I can't click on them and see where their HP is, because, of course, Infest does 10% damage over 10 seconds, or 1% a second, however you want to look at it. What that means is if you're within 10% of your HP and Infest hits you, you're dead. Unless there's healing, unless there's something else to solve it. So, again, Elazer, he's defending pretty nicely. He's got an answer to the any sort of mech units now. He's got an answer to Vulcans and Atlases with these Weavers, which in the most recent change, they do 20% damage on an abduct, or on a lash as the ability is called, where previously that only did 60 damage, which is solid against smaller units. Was not nearly as good against bigger units. So they are just extremely specialized now in terms of dealing with the high-tech components of the Vanguard army. So we're talking Lancers, we're talking Atlases, we're talking Medtechs to a lesser extent, but not in the same way. We're talking I guess Lancers and Atlases are the two really high HP units that exist now in the Infernal army. There's a one Shadow Flyer right here, so now life gets a little bit more interesting for Lucifron. He does have an evac, and they can drop some Sky Mines that the Shadow Flyers may run into, as we can see that go down right there. Which, by the way, this was a significant change that we saw in that February 13th patch, where Sky Mines, instead of having a cooldown of I think it was 120 seconds, instead of having a 2-minute cooldown, now they have a 20-second cooldown. And instead of expiring eventually, they just have an infinite lifespan. They do cost 15 Luminite, though, but, you know, once you're in 4 bases, who really cares? Once you're starting to mine resource camps or starting to extract resource camps, who really cares? And by the way, these middle-of-the-map resource camps are only just now getting taken. It is 10 minutes into this game. And our mid-map resource camps are only still on level 1, which is, again, it's kind of wild. That's not how a lot of Stormgate games go. But again, Lucifron, he played this air opening. He wanted to be as aggressive as possible. As he maybe is going to be able to get right on top of this Doomwork. I think he just targets it down. Yeah, he does. These Gaunts, even with a healing zone. Well, both units get healed, and this is just a lot nicer here for Lucifron. Pops the shield, tries to kill a couple more. That was an HP over 10 seconds. Is very difficult to deal with. So he continues to extract value from these Hornets, but we're starting to get to the point where I have to ask whether it's worthwhile or whether he's gotten enough, is I guess the better way to say that. Is as you add these Hornets in, as I need to remember, I cannot drag score right now. It's a little laggy on the observer interface. It's fine if you're playing, but you know, it's a little laggy. You can see that stutters a little bit if I try to do a smooth ban. That'll get fixed eventually, I'm sure. But for right now, I just need to remember to click on the mini map and go from there. Starcraft observing happens. My goodness. But anyway, this army that Elazer, I need not do that. This army that Elazer's made right now is massive. It's got a couple Hellbringers to deal with any Exos that may exist. Got a ton of Gaunts, Magmadons to run through, Weavers to deal with the high-tech portions of this Vanguard army. And this is kind of what I was talking about when I was saying, you know what? I think Elazer's done a lot of damage. He really has. Or Elazer's taken a lot of damage, but I don't know if it's enough damage. All right, that's kind of what you're looking at right now. So bunch of Gaunts here. Shadow Flyers in the front means that it's really hard for these Hornets to do what they want. And these mines now, they're just gonna, well, I guess they're not infestable, but there are enough Gaunts that it's really gonna be okay. So we're looking to see right now, there are 2 evacs, and I think their job is just for Sky Mines. I think that's what Lucifron's using these for. Trick is, we have no Atlases. We have nothing that really smushes these Gaunts down really nicely. Vulcans are just not good enough at this point. So Magmadons are going to try to get on top of these Buzzsaw turrets, and while the Infest plus the Magmadon trample means that's just a ton of free Fiends into this base going down right now. The Buzzsaw turret's going to go down. And again, Vulcans, when Gaunts are, or when Weavers are out in significant numbers, they just don't do enough. This fight is going to kick off right now. And I talked about Hellborn to deal with Exos, and that is very much the answer. But they also do 100 damage to building. So when you're dealing with a ton of static defense as an Inferno player, there are really solid opportunities. Now Shroudfall goes down, so everything has 2% HP healing. Well, 2%, yeah, effectively 2% HP healing as the white health regens at 2% a second. You do the math. So that means this army is, just for a little bit longer, is much tankier than it might otherwise be. The Hornets are trying to burst things down, but Hornets are not a mainline battle force. They really are not. The Weavers are starting to go down, but Abducts here are going to bring the Exos on forward, where they're going to run themselves into this massive meat grinder of Gaunts and Magmadons and things like that. And eventually, well, yeah, no, there's no eventually. Elazer withstands the pressure, survives, and we move to game 2. And in game 1, we saw Lucifron go, and he does this Hornet opener and gets aggressive with it. And by the way, we're on Secluded Grove in game 2, and we see Lucifron doing this right now, where Secluded Grove is a map that's kind of interesting. Not only do you have this middle, which is difficult to deal with and kind of a necessity to take, but it actually is a really strong early game for Vanguard players, because what it has, and we can talk about these vision or these speed camps all we want, but what it has are these flowers that we're seeing Lucifron get right now. There are 2 of them on the map, 2 Therium, 2 Luminite, 1 on each side. They're mirrored across the map, but they give you Luminite and Therium for harvesting them. You know, in the previous map, you have health flowers that this scout loves to take and allow it to be a little bit more annoying, a little bit more harassment focused. But now we're not seeing that. So Scout shows up, and it's gonna I should say we're what's the word? Yeah, there's no I just got email and got distracted. There's no health pool on this map. So the dog harassed is not quite as everlasting as it would be on, say, Secluded Grove or something like that. Now that double gaunts are out, you're totally fine. It's still going to be annoying a little bit, but again, Elazer has this double conclave opener that is really nice for him. So we're going to see a meat farm go down on the bottom side. This should allow him to take the speed camp. Actually, this might actually be a little bit too far away to go and take the speed camp, I think, or to drag the speed camp into it. I don't think the Fellhogs will leash quite close enough. So you're just dropping this out of the way, I guess. There's no real good reason that I can think of specifically to do this if you're not trying to drag a Fellhog into the creep camp. Do it like this, specifically as Vanguard versus Infernals. In a mirror, you put it out of the way in part because you don't want your own Fellhogs to turn into fiends, and that can be a little annoying. So for now, the scout's going to be annoying, and well, there is that. But there are 4 gaunts on the field. The scout doesn't really represent much pressure, and the speed camp should get taken. What it actually might have been, I wasn't paying attention at the time. Elazer might have been trying to go and mine these trees out so you can do the full clear left side, put pressure on the third base like that. But the scout may have just done too much damage to the imps. It's like, okay, I gotta drop a meat farm when I can. That's what this is. Which is, again, very reasonable from Elazer. Sometimes you just have to do that. But anyway. So for now, we're going to see the same thing coming out of Lucifron. Once again, it is this command post first into a Hornet place. He tries to exert pressure on the map, and the first Hornet should pop out very quickly. And there again, there's that solar habitat. So now these Hornets are going to be built just a little bit faster. It's one of the many things that really Vanguard players have to accelerate their production. It's kind of cool, actually, if you think about it. Infernal players can accelerate their unit production by spending animus. Right? You have charges, and you can go spend charges for it, and then you can refresh those charges with Hellborn Resurgence, which is 45 animus. So that's your kind of macro mechanic. That's your ability to change how quickly units go out, whether that's imps, whether that's magmadons. Doesn't really matter. That's how you're able to go and kind of supercharge things. Meanwhile, on the other side, you have Infernals that have solar habitats that can supercharge one building to produce faster. You can overcharge Bobs. That makes things work faster. You can pull multiple Bobs to build structures. That makes things work faster. So really, all of it together means that Vanguard players have a ton of avenues to go, and they have an extremely flexible macro system, which is pretty cool. And we're starting to see builds take that into account, but I don't think it's been properly explored just yet. By the way, as this pressure's on the third base, I don't think this cancels it. Eventually, Elazer, 8 gaunts should probably enough to deal with this. Yeah, with one of these Hornets low, yeah, it's gonna be fine. But I want to point out Elazer taking this shrine right on the Therium and then cracking everything around it. So what this does is, you'll notice what this imp is right here is, these gaunts are just not enough number. One of those Hornets may die on the retreat. We're gonna pay attention to that one, but for now, again, this is annoying. And okay, there we go. The dog will fall. I was gonna say the vision that scout is providing is really, really solid, but this Hornet survives on probably just about 1 HP. But anyway, what Elazer's doing right now is he's taking the shrine right up against the Therium. And what this does is this forces this Therium to be built around the shrine as it happens. Which means, as you see this imp right here, he mines so much faster than any of these imps up on the high ground. We can see 8 imps on this Therium. We see 2 imps right now, and I don't know that it is that insane in terms of 8 versus 2 mining the same, but it's not that far off. Because again, they're just... It takes 7 claw swipes, I guess. It takes 7 animations to go and mine Therium, to mine 5 Therium. It is how that goes. So we're not seeing that, by the way. We're not seeing 7 animations, then a return, 7 animations, then a return. It's just, I'm mining. The imp is the child, and it yearns for the mines, is what's happening. So again, we're just seeing a very similar idea out of Elazer. This whole, I'm going to go and be greedy. And I'm going to play as defensively as possible, and it's going to be fine. Is now, ooh, nice job there. Fiend goes and snipes the Bob. Very nice. But Elazer, again, he's just kind of playing greedy. There's an evac here. Is there a Vulcan running across? Yeah, Evac ran across the map, and this vision cam is going to get taken. Nothing to really nothing really to take advantage of it though. Even still, Hornets, they're going to find the Doombringer. Gaunts, of course, have to pop out. And Gaunts they're going to shove they're going to shove the Hornets away for the time being. Where's this evac? Okay, there's the Vulcan. So the Vulcan drop is on the way. We saw this in game 1. It honestly wasn't all that impressive. And in that game 1, we saw Lucifron get much more damage done. So we're in game 2. Lucifron is in a pretty solid spot. You know, he's got his 3 bases. His opponent doesn't have a 4th. And generally, as an Infernal player, kind of like Zerg, you do want to go. And by the way, we talk about this meat farm being out of the way and being a little weird. I do have to point out that this is extra inefficient because these Fellhogs are not on Shroud. And if a unit is on Shroud, it gives you 1.5 times the Animus so when it dies. So when meat farms are designed as kind of this passive Shroud generation tool where every 20 seconds a new Fellhog is spawned, the last one dies, and it gives you half an Animus, I think it is. So 3/4 of an Animus if you're on Shroud. By not having that on Shroud, that means that you're actually not able to go and benefit from that just as much. So of course we will see Doombringer retreat right back. Is there a second Doombringer? Did I see its second teleport? No, apparently not. So my eyes are playing tricks on me. That's fine. But anyway, we're in this setup where Elazer where Lucifron is committed to all this aggression, and he really hasn't done a ton with it yet. Not really. And that allows Elazer to start to move towards the middle of the map. And by the way, I don't know if we have jump jets yet. I'm actually not sure if Vulcans have an extra animation if they have jump jets available. Again, I'm not totally sure about that one. But anyway, Lucifron is going to take the secluded grove on the left side here, and the Gaunts will fall down. But some of these Hornets are getting so low. One gets shielded, but one Hornet already goes down. The second one is going to fall, and yeah, you got a Doombringer down, but this is still a 3rd base delayed for quite a bit of time. This is several dead Hornets, and actually more are going to go down because they rally right on top. You didn't need to do that, Lucifron. That is so much of his map control now in the ground. It absolutely gone. And one of these may survive. Nope. One of these, I was going to say one of these may survive, but it's just not really worthwhile. Now Elazer, because there are no Hornets on the map and he doesn't have to be as worried about that kind of oppressive harassment tool, he says, yeah, I'm gonna go take the middle of the map. This is absolutely what I do. This is a great idea. So he's gonna go take the middle of the map, and Lucifron's up a base right now, but if Elazer gets away with this, he's gonna be the one that leapfrogs up a base. Again, it's 2 Therium, 2 Luminite. It is 2 bases, 2 full bases, not even just 2 kind of bases like this that doesn't have a Therium to its name. Not really. So Elazer's going to try to take this, and Lucifron is going to feel really pressured to try to deny this middle of the map expansion that exists. And you know, it's interesting that they're messing around with this. I think Lucifron, if he just takes this base and this base and tries to play around the edges of the map, that might be a better idea. But if he can catch this out before the army's in position, because again, Weavers are very slow as they're just strolling into combat. It's fine. Don't worry me. It's Sunday. I'm out for a nice stroll. Although I guess this game was actually played on Saturday, so what the hell do I know? Anyways, as we take a look at this, there is maybe a world where Lucifron was going to be able to punish this before all the defenses are up. But now that the Shroud Stones are on the way, there are Weavers right here, there are Magmadons that do damage. It becomes a much more difficult scenario, really, for our Vanguard player to break this position. So, I mean, I do like the addition of the sentry turret. We're going to see Exos firing away this splash damage on top. But actually, I think against this ground army, I think the idea of the Exo turret here, actually, it does splash against everything, ground and air. But I think the job really is to ward away this Doombringer, is to kind of prevent this saving action or this deposit of Weavers on top of things. And eventually the Doombringer will go down, but honestly, this is kind of wasted DPS at the moment. And this Gaunt line is actually doing a really nice job. Now, one of the Vulcans is shielded. It will not die, but as soon as the shield is done, look at that. We have Shroudstone manifested on top, and this push coming out of Lucifron is pretty broken. It has been broken down. It's not finding the value that it would want whatsoever. And yeah, some of these Gaunts are dying, and some of these Weavers are dying, but the expensive units of this Infernal or this Vanguard force are starting to go down. There's one med tech in the air. Well, I guess actually 2 med techs in the army right now. But a lot of them have fallen. The Vulcans have fallen. The turrets have gone down. And these high veterancy exos that really you want as a Vanguard player to serve as the backbone of your army, they're starting to get torn down as well. So yes, there's another Vulcan here. But Vulcans into 3 Weavers are just not very good because again, you take 30% damage off the top. Double abduct pretty much just kills it, and there's no shield available. So there we go. Again, Vulcan shows up right in the middle of things, and technically that can wreak havoc, but it just runs away. And this is just not. This is a pretty bad situation for Lucifron at this point. Now that there's a full breakout, another turret's not going to go down. There's shrouds, an effigy's dropped on top of everything just immediately, and that's going to go on cooldown. But even still, even as that does get targeted down, it just immediately, the problem is this army is just too strong. This Vulcan's dead. The repair is not good enough. There's another Vulcan here, and Elazer may want to slow down his aggression, but I mean, look, this Vulcan just dies. It has got 750 HP, and that is just not tanky enough at this point. The funny thing is that Lancers are actually tankier than the Vulcan is, and they have far less HP. So, seems like for the moment these Weavers are going to get broken backwards, but again, as long as the Elazer is keeping them off the side of things. Grumpage, thank you so much for the 21-month resub. That's awesome. You're fantastic. Of course, for those of you that are not aware, Grumpage is my partner in crime on Stormgate Nexus, which is your one-stop shop for all the most important Stormgate news, analysis. Today, we dropped an article on the starter engine, the crowd equity campaign that has everyone up in flames right now, and I think it's a pretty good article. Actually, I think it is well researched. I think it's fair is the thing to both the people that are upset and to Frost Giant itself. But anyways. Shroudfall is going to drop down once again, and now you got to be careful when you're pushing as an Infernal player. You have to be very confident that you are going to win the game with this push, because otherwise, look at how slow these Weavers are. They do not run away easily. They are not incredible on the retreat, so you can very easily almost win a fight, run away, and then put yourself in a really awkward position where all of your very expensive units like these Weavers fall down. So Lucifron is going to try to break on out of this contain, as again, it's a lot of gaunts. The Weavers are starting to slow down. His infestation forces things back. But what Elazer's done here is kind of mitigating this idea that, yeah, you know, a lot of Infernal units of any tech level are incredibly slow. They're bulky. They're awkward as Magmadons get dropped on top of everything from the Doombringer, and a Shroud's provided as well. So this is a really nice idea, but he's built so many Shroud Stones sitting here between the natural and the 4th base of Lucifron, which makes it so very hard for Lucifron to go out. Yeah, you know, he can chase down a Magmadon or two, but attacking into this army is like, well, you're coming out of the withering fire of like 7 Shroud Stones and a manifestation. That is just really, really hard to deal with. So for now, of course, because these Shroud Stones are on the map, because Elazer has done such a good job of closing this map out, at this point, he's sitting here and Lucifron has no solid way to defend this 4th base. The 4th base dies. It's going to be a decent amount of free fiends, as well as the Gaunt Slash goes down on top of all these mobs. And yeah, you got an Exo Ball, and that is generally a problem. That is always, I mean, not generally, like that is always something that is pretty cost effective. But the reinforcements here, the money that Elazer has, he's sitting on, I guess, not a ton of production structures. Surprising few, only like 4 Conclave, 2 Vault, but he's got the Animus to just to just drop a Resurgence on top of all of it. Have we really been working on Stormgate Nexus for 16 months now? And that's insane. Anyways, Magmadons are going to trample on forward. There's a dragon on the map right now, and yes, this one Exo that could is shielded up and will live just a little bit longer. But again, now there are dragons on top, and dragons are by far the highest single target damage unit that Infernals have. You know, Hellborn, they're close, but again, these dragons are just tapping all these Lancers down. They're tapping the Exos down. Of course, there's a bunch of Infest on top of everything, and Elazer will take everything. We'll take game number 2. Now, the question is whether Lucifron can react. He's down 0-2 in the round of 8 of EGC. And again, Lucifron is one of these players we expect to hit top 4. He's one of these players that we expect to compete for the championship, for the grand prize. So to see him go down 0-2, again, Elazer's a very good player. But I think a lot of what we're looking at right now is Lucifron he's going for this Hornet opener that is just not getting enough done. We've seen 2 games now where Lucifron gets aggressive. He tries to harass. Elazer handles it very well. And by the way, notice triple imp on Therium. Again, you want to get like 15 Therium or so, and then just stop mining Therium for the most part, because this is very harassable right now by the scout. But you mine just enough to get your first 2 gaunts, and then you go back onto to gold mining, and you go from there. So gaunts are gonna go out. We see, of course, these imps go down onto the low ground to then try to do what they can to drop a shrine. And just, again, by doing it like this, they're making it very hard for the scout to go and delay the base. Because that's what you have to worry about, right? And also, 1 scout beats 1 gaunt. 1 scout does not beat 1 gaunt and 1 imp. So Elazer, by doing this, he's making sure that he doesn't lose the gaunt on the harass. And also, of course, notice he waited until the gaunt was full white health before going down. That's pretty important. That does mean that you have, it's about an additional 15-20% HP, which is a pretty big difference. And by the way, this is a map we played game number 1. There were only 3 maps in the competitive pool at this point. There was Titan's Causeway, but upon discussion with players, EGC decided, yeah, we don't want this map on our second weekend, which is the greatest bait. Which is absolutely the greatest bait that the players have ever pulled, because the fact that Jagged Maw stayed in the prize pool, or not the prize pool, stayed in the map pool, and Titan's Causeway was, they're both not great. I think Titan's Causeway is like, good luck getting a natural, right? That's just not, it's pretty rough. But the fact that Jagged Maw was kept in and Titan's Causeway was removed, when Jagged Maw, after the first week, it had like an 85, it was a 75% Infernal win rate. And I'm willing to bet at least some of those games that were in Vanguard winning was because it was like, Vortex versus top 200 player on ladder. It's like, yeah, or Lucifron versus top 200 player on ladder. Obviously, Lucifron qualified through the ladder qualifier, but you get the point. Like a very good player against someone who's good, but not quite as good. So anyway, we're gonna see Lucifron do something very different here in this game number 3, where he goes command post barracks, 3rd command post before 3 minutes. This is greedy as you can possibly get, and it is such a good reaction to this build that Elazer is going for, right? This single conclave expand into a 2nd conclave. You don't have a lot of map presence. Before about 3:30, 4 minutes, we see Elazer. He's going to go try to take the speed camp, and these are going to be the first fiends he gets. This is the first time that he's going to have some opportunity to go and scout out on the map and see what's happening and react to his opponent. So by then, Lucifron's going to have a buzzsaw at the natural opening if he wants. He's going to have this 3rd base up. He's going to, buzzsaw turret goes down right there. This is not really breakable for Elazer right now. He's not going to be able to go and really do anything about this. And that means this 3rd base is just up. That means the Elazer's now got a ton of pressure on him to go and be properly safe. Now, this Lancer does need to be active and proactive, and that is something. There's actually nothing in the main base. The fiends are going to be annoying right now, as well. Bobs are going to get pulled away. Of course, they can mass repair, and that's fine. And actually, the trick is, if you really want to be efficient with your repairs, you don't kind of pull your Bobs and individually select what you're going to repair. You select them all and hit auto repair. And then Bobs just in the area are going to go repair whatever's low around them. And it actually means you can kind of repair the entire Luminite line, the entire gold line at once. I'm trying to teach myself, by the way, to say gold and ore instead of Luminite and Therium, which, technically that's the term. But we don't call about Vespine gas. And I actually don't know if there's a 2-word name for minerals. I'm not really sure. Heaven, thank you so much for the raid. Hope you're having a good time. Hope you had a great stream. What? There we go. That's what I was doing. Seeing all the dino dances. I had lost my chat widget, but it is now back. So off of this, we're seeing a very different game. An extremely different game coming out of Lucifron compared to game 1. Compared to game number 2. Game 1 and 2, a Hornet opener trying to be aggressive on the map, harass, slow his opponent down, and didn't really work out all that well. Game 2, we're seeing, okay, well, I'm just going to be greedy if you're going to be greedy. I'm going to go and build 1 barracks into a 3rd command post. As this drop in the main base is going to be the first thorn in the side of Lucifron. And I don't think he has kinetic redirection just yet, so a couple Bobs fall on. The Lancers are slow on the rejoinder. But again, now that Lucifron's here and he's got built this massive economy for himself, He can start to add a significant number of barracks. He can start to get his exo tech up if that's what he wants to do, off the command post, off that tier 2. And honestly, even losing a bomb or two is not the end of the world, because his third base is so much faster. It really is significantly fast. So drop on the main base probably once again, depending on where Elazer thinks Lucifron is looking. And now Lucifron, look at this. He's got his fourth base all the way before 6 minutes, or just about 6 minutes. Again, very, very greedy coming out of Lucifron. But if all the punish that exists is a Doombringer drop, sure. And again, I really like this, because what we're seeing right now is this is a game of Lucifron saying, adapting to what Elazer's been doing. Elazer's been playing incredibly greedy over the last, I don't know how long. No, I do know how long. Over the last couple games, he's been opening this Conclave opener into a very quick third base. Not a lot of pressure on the map. And Lucifron has realized that if that's the opener, I can just go and be as greedy as possible. I can just go and take my third base and take my fourth base and put a ton of economic pressure on Elazer to A, expand as quickly, and B, do things and kind of keep Lucifron down. And that is not the case. Look at Lucifron's army. It's not big at the moment. He's going up to 5 racks pretty quickly. He's got exos on the way producing behind this. He is going and doing a really nice thing. Like, his economy is developing in a significant way. And now, exos are there in position. Now, of course, the Doombringer is bugged for this tournament and just on ladder right now, where you can't A-click the ground and have it attack. You have to actually go and select it, which, for high-level players, probably not the end of the world, but it is maybe not something that they're used to doing. Like, generally, if I'm going and I'm dealing with harass, I'm just A-clicking in the area and my units are going to go there. I'm not individually target firing something, because again, generally you don't have to. That's how kind of AI works. But for whatever reason, the Doombringer has no threat level to it. I don't really know, but yeah, it doesn't do a ton. So now Lucifron wants to get active on the map. It's got 1 med tech. He's got a couple exos. He's got, I'm going to assume both upgrades. He's got kinetic redirect. He's got quick shot. He's got quick draw mastery, or whatever that's called. He's got exo zoom juice on his army. He's able to make something happen. Again, the drop shows down in the natural, and these mobs are going to have to run away, but there are enough Lancers at the moment to really force this out. Now, exo, target this down. A couple more shots. It's going to be 2 shots. He's going to knock it down. Oh, he thought he had it. Last second, like literally 1 HP. It will survive. So it's not really, doesn't have a lot of power as a drop for the time being. Maybe this healing zone, but that's going to run out in 5 seconds. Doesn't really have a lot of power as a drop at the moment, because again, 1 HP is not, even with white health, is going to go down pretty quickly here. So now Lucifron, he's getting on top of the stack defense, and yes, Shroud Stones do some level of damage against Lancers, certainly more than Gaunts do. They do die quickly enough, and the Lancers still don't die incredibly quickly. So Lucifron starts to shove down some of the stack defense as Elazer he's got Weavers out. He is being very defensive here. Just like, this is how, I mean, Elazer's playing as defensively as possible. So let's see where we're going to go. So now, okay, a bunch of Lancers are trying to get on top of these Gaunts, but it's not really going to be that big of a deal. And there's pressure. So what you want to do right now, and one of the things that the Weavers do that make this a little bit harder, but honestly, Weavers against Bio are not as much what you want. I mean, you want Hellborns at this point. You want Hellborn and just enough to sit in front of them that they're going to be okay. But Weavers can be a little annoying here, because the Bio is always going to be faster. These Lancers, these Exos, when their passives are procs, are always going to be faster than what anything Elazer has. So they want to sit on the edge of Shroud, kite away and kite away, and in that manner they are kind of like Terran. It's still different. So again, you just want to kite on the edge of things. Some Weavers can prevent that by breaking the Bio Ball down apart. Every 16 seconds they drop an Abduct and kill a unit off. So that's kind of what you're looking at here. And of course, Hellborn, 3 Hellborn shots, 1 shot in Exo. They add so much splash damage on top. So it is a solid answer, this army that Elazer has built, to what Elazer's been going for. And again, you always have to be worried if you're Elazer, is another Exo is going to get abducted or going to get lashed and fall down. But you do have to be careful that Lucifron doesn't fall victim to what he did in the previous 2 games, where he's getting this damage done and then his army just is not big enough at the end of it. That being said, his economy is much better, is significantly better than Elazer's at this point. So you go and it's like, well, yeah, he's trading and he's losing units, but he is keeping this army of Elazer down. And well, you might say, wow, look at this army of Elazer, it's so much bigger. Well, yeah, but Gaunts are fairly cheap. And this army is not as cost effective as what Lucifron has. It's tempting to look at these Exos and say, ah, Marine, man with gun, it's great. They shoot fast, but they're closer to ghosts really than they are. I mean, they don't have spell. They don't cast spells as this Doombringer will fall. They're closer to ghosts in terms of how important they are. They cost ore and they cost gold. They have so much power. They're almost untouchable as they kite away. They do a ton of damage. They're not Marines. So trading them away, losing them is a much bigger deal. They cost far more to build this army. There's a reason that in the early game you see players going, and not only because Lancers are tier 1 and X's are tier 2, but they're just, Lancers are 100 Luminite. You know, they're 100 gold. Exos cost significantly more. Again, they're further up the tech tree as well. So as a Vanguard player, losing your Lancers is okay. Losing a ton of Exos is far, far sadder. And now Lucifron has every single base on the map that he could reasonably take. At this point, there really isn't a whole lot else. He can go and maybe try to take a base of Elazer's, but at this point, his economy is going like gangbusters, and Elazer's been trading pretty poorly. This is one of those times where I would love to see resources lost, because my sense is it is pretty heavily in favor of our Vanguard player. Now, these Bobs will... Why are they at the high ground, actually? Oh, no, okay, no, he was going to go and try to take the base out of Elazer, like we were just talking about. So I guess Bobs are going to have to go from that. By the way, double Therium Extractor, which is interesting. Normally you kind of put one right in the middle, but he's just trying to make sure that he's got one per each patch and mines as efficiently as possible, which fair. You know, you want to have a lot of Therium. Exos, Medtechs, Lancer or Atlases eventually. They're not cheap. Not at all. But now here comes this army once again. Now the drop on the bottom side is going to be handled for the moment. Shroudfall goes down once again. A little bit of healing on top of everything, but these Magmadons, they waddle in, and there's just so many Exos that they are getting targeted down. Even with the healing, they're getting targeted down. So, sorry, I guess pseudo healing. They're healing the white health, not the main health underneath it. But whatever you want to call it, they are doing so much damage that, yeah, the Shroudfall isn't really helping all that much. The Magmadons are still getting targeted down before they get the really nice shots that they want. So we're going to see a ton of Shroud Stones here as Elazer tries to turtle up and do that thing that was so affected him once again. Meanwhile, he's got a drop on the bottom side, but the Bobs are just repairing themselves, and Lancers are going to get on top of things. Meanwhile, on the other side, was Lucifron distracted? Is this something that Elazer can take advantage of? Seems like some Fiends have spawned, so some units have been dying, but for the most part, I think the big deal is the Atlas have died. Elazer's lost a ton of static defense on this setup. His fourth base or his double ore is under threat now. Okay, I was gonna say we don't, but now all of a sudden we do. The Atlas has that passive now, so it burns the damage beneath it. That it's called plasma something, I forget. Anyway, it has that passive. It has that upgrade that means that you can just kind of bomb spaces with this, and it makes it very hard for Gaunts. Makes it very hard for imps to go and just survive. But Elazer does have a dragon. And that dragon is really impactful. That's a lot of harass potential. That's a lot of straight up fighting potential. So again, this drop continues to find stuff. Yeah, the Exos are not really here. It looks like Lancers are the primary unit that's going to get made. So that is something. As by the way, both players are going to try to take this base. This feels a lot more likely that Lucifron's going to get something than Elazer is at this point. Again, he just has so much map control as 3 Gaunts burn down very quickly. Drop on the other side. And actually, this is kind of unreachable. This is much more annoying. So a couple of habitats are going to go down. I don't know if that supply blocks Lucifron actually, but it is annoying as these, well, Hornets get low. But eventually, as the Lancers get on top of it, this drop will get cleaned up. Finally, it's going to get dealt with. There will be no recall. The Hornets are there. Everything will die. But it seems like Lucifron, he is forced back just a little bit, but these Atlas drops are the big thing. 3 medtechs or 3 evacs right there. They're not medevacs. They fly. They're not medevacs. They're not medevacs fail. They're not medevacs. But these shots are juicy. And I don't really see Elazer being able to go and sustain this that much longer. Nice target fire on the Gaunts on the right side again. Lucifron's firing for full effect. He's attacking these squishy units. He's attacking the static defense that's making life rather hard. He knows that these Exos can deal with the big tanky Weavers and things. They're just going to mow them down. So Shardstone gets manifested. Everything else falls down. And I think Elazer is very close to falling out of this game. There's a dragon on the right side. The dragon is maybe going to go down. It gets very low. It gets impressively low, but now Exos are going to get on top of this. And yes, it did deal with the Hornets. But Elazer is going to lose the space. So this means now that Lucifron has every base that he could possibly have, and he's taken one base from Elazer as well. If you're an Elazer fan, that does not spark joy. By the way, I know people have been critical about some of the models in Stormgate, but I really like the Atlas model, this kind of walking mech. Massive siege tank. The unsieged model is actually super satisfying. It's a little floaty right now. I think a lot of the models are just a little floaty and messes with the sense of scale, but I do like this model. It's pretty cool. As we're gonna see shots go down, and by the way, notice what he's doing. He's like, yeah, you know, at this point the gun count's really small. I'm just gonna target down these Hellborn. Like, they're the problem. If there ever was a problem, they're what I have to deal with. So yeah, Lucifron's just playing really passive, or really patient, really safe, and Elazer will be forced to tap out. Lucifron gets his first map in this series. Bottom right, he's down. Oh, he's up a game. We do have to. It feels like his opponent's starting to figure things out. Elazer, of course, upper right, Lucifron, and we are on the map that all Vanguard players hate. Again, week one, this map had literally a 75% Infernal win rate on. That is far worse than any imbalanced StarCraft map that we've seen in a while. Like, it is a problem, and it is a problem that will primarily be solved by not by fixing the map, but by removing the map. It is just, there are some things about it that are just unfixably broken. Like, for example, you have these two siege camps, but you can push right through the middle, and it is the quickest possible. Like, this would be fine if a siege camp could only go around the outside, but this middle of the map here is such a problem that that's worth discussing. But the question is also whether this is something that Elazer wants to go for, because Elazer has been showing this extreme desire. By the way, this is the first time he's not going Conclave Expand. He's going Vault Conclave. He's proxying that Vault to get himself out on the map a little bit faster. But again, Elazer has shown himself to be this defensive macro player, expanding as quickly as possible, doing things like that. But anyway, so he's gonna take these speed camps. And now, by the way, remember, this was nerfed. These used to have 6 actually goats, not even the 5 that the other camps did, because there was only 1 of them on the map. And we're gonna see this scout try to be annoying, looking to maybe jack a goat. I don't know if it's gonna be able to do that. It just gets a little bit too low, but it is annoying and does force the brute to split. So that is something. And now speed camp goes down. Vision camp's gonna get taken as well, I would assume. Jones said the Fiends are going to run back over, and they're going to maybe try to catch this army before things are ready. The sentry post isn't done. The Lancer is not done. So, well, do we have an overcharge? We do. They're going to try to target the dog down, and the dog will fall, but a Fiend dies in exchange. I think both of these are free units, so I think it's okay. At the end of the day, I think it's okay. The Lancer is now going to have to be, chase things down, and that's always going to be a little annoying, but Fiends do a ton of damage, but they don't survive all that quickly. And I gotta say, I'm really surprised to see no one try to abuse this extremely aggressive map to be aggressive. Yes, Elazer's been greedy. Absolutely, he's been playing greedy, but still, one base siege pushes are really good. So Elazer is still going to get this catapult, but the question is, like, we don't see an imp down here. He's not getting himself set up to take the rocks down. Now, no, I was going to say there might be some interesting micro you can do to try to get the catapult. trick is you need an enemy unit for a catapult to target anything. You can't control it, unfortunately, if you are a player. But for now, we're going to see the vision camp's going to be taken by Elazer as he takes the siege, which is nice. You know, that means that it's going to be really hard for his opponent to really know what's happening here. But again, the siege camp's going to have to go, or the siege creep's going to have to go the long way around. Oh, well, I guess no, it's not. He's mining this down. So here comes the push, I guess, actually. You can actually mess around with this catapult AI just a little bit. Notice what he's doing. He's going to try to box around it, but ooh, he's made a mistake. This catapult, I think it's going on the wrong way. I don't think there's any way it turns around at this point anymore. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Today I learned. I thought it was, I thought it kind of once it set its path like that, it would just keep going, but no, it realizes, there's a quicker way. We can go. And by the way, what I didn't realize until I played a bunch of games of Stormgate on different maps, we're actually, we're going to hold on to that thought, because here comes the attack. This thing that has been breaking every single Vanguard player has been such a problem. There is a Hornet out, and if Lancers can get on top of these guns, the Hornet cleans up everything else. So that's what Lucifron is going to be hoping for. That's what he's going to be dreaming of. But for now, the Lancer has to retreat back to the hangar, get himself repaired right back on up, and of course, this is uncontrollable until everything is ready. So now to the main base we go, and there's no barracks. This is a significant problem right now. This is a significant problem. But again, there are only two gaunts on this setup. So this eventually gets handled with because there's going to be a second Hornet on the way pretty quickly. There's no unit in production animation right now, but it will eventually be. So yeah, this is gone. This is totally done. And by the way, I love what Lucifron's doing here. Notice this catapult's going to keep shelling away at the command post, but who cares? It's got a ton of HP. Bobs can get pulled to kill this off. He realizes that it matters far more to go kill his opponent's units rather than this catapult that's doing damage to him, to maybe force some fiend splits to farm that XP. So instead of going and knocking down this catapult, which again would be maybe worth doing, look, repair is free. He loses nothing by doing this. And instead he's extracting value on the map. And all he had to do was kill off the couple gaunts, because this was not a double conclave opener like we've been seeing from Elazer in the last couple games. This was conclave vault. You have more brutes, and brutes are a really tanky unit that can be strong in that way. But as this Hornet's gonna try to be annoying here, kill off as many gaunts as possible. They're strong in their way, right? But they don't shoot up. They don't handle Hornets in the slightest. So now a bunch of fiends, of course, are gonna try to find their way back home. These were the fiends that were forced to split. And also, shame on you, Elazer. You didn't manually split any of these fiends. So one of the nerfs that happened on February 13th was to fiends and brutes, where actually I kind of like it because it rewards skill expression more than it did. Where the way it worked is that previously you would go and your fiends would start with 50% white HP, regardless of what happened. Whether you split, whether you split manually, whether you didn't split, whether they were made from an infest. Now, as a couple of these Lancers are going to go down, but again, Hornet in the sky says, no, run away. Now the way it works is that if you spawn a fiend from an infest, it spawns with no white health. If you spawn a fiend from a brute dying, it has no white health. If you spawn a fiend manually, if you split a brute, it has 50% white HP, 12.5 HP of white health. So it now rewards players just a little bit, per Monk's 80% expression rule that he's kind of going with, where his thoughts are that, a unit at kind of base level should be maybe 80% effective as a perfectly microed unit. So you have like 20% skill expression, which, maybe a little low. I think that is something that is worth discussing. I think that's worth kind of taking into consideration. I think the way you really want to do it is like have that as a baseline, and then maybe have a couple units that are much more skill expressive than others. I think that's probably a good way to do it. So you have these some units that are like, yeah, okay, you get like 15% more HP, you get 20% more HP if you do this split, which is still significant in an RTS, by the way. But then some units that are, like Atlas drops, for example, are very, the value you get out of a good Atlas drop, out of a good Atlas micro, is far more skill expressive than 20%. That is a much bigger difference on kind of unit effectiveness if you can hot pick up and micro your Atlases compared to not being able to do so. And again, I think that's a good thing. I think good players should be able to expose how good they are at the game. This Doombringer will fall, and it seems like we're going to see Elazer getting ready to siege this new camp, right? So he took the first one. He took the level 3 camp. Now he's got Shroudstones going down. It seems like he wants to go for push round 2, Electric Boogaloo on the bottom side. So Shroudstones are up. What exactly he does with this, I don't know exactly when, but he has taken a 4th base. And by the way, we got to talk about what Lucifron's done here, in that given the option of expanding wherever he wants to when things were over, he takes the right side base. He goes and mines this double gold base coming on out of his, or not coming out of his opponent, mines this double gold base, which puts him a pretty significant economic advantage. He doesn't need really a ton of ore right now. He's got Lancers, they're strong. He's mining ore off his main base, doesn't really need this double ore at his natural. So he's going to be very okay with this. He's just really, he got most of the Lancers spending a little bit of ore that he's actually been able to bank up on medtechs, on exos. And now we will see some of these Hornets are going to go down. That is a little bit awkward, but, well, here's the thing. Lucifron has the catapult first. We're going to see a shield go down on one of these exos right in the front line, getting more and more damage done. And, yeah, the Gaunt is slowly dying as we see the Shroudstone get manifested. It's going to get targeted on right on top of the catapult, so it will eventually die. But Lucifron's doing a really nice job of playing defensively, or of pushing with his advantages, pushing with his timings. Now, there's another base on the way. Army's going to run forward, try and dive right on top of this, Weaver. And by the way, the Shroud range is now going to decrease a little bit because the manifestation is gone and the Shroudstone itself is gone as well. Another Weaver will fall. And again, as long as you're keeping these Exos alive, you're kind of okay. And he's doing more than that. He's keeping the Lancers alive as well. Dives once again on top of one of these Weavers. And yeah, they are tanky, 750 HP, 125 white health on top of that. They're pretty expensive. They're not something that you can lose lightly as an Infernal player, even if you're mining on a double ore base. It's just, it is really hard. By the way, we talk about double ore bases. I think it would be kind of cool, actually, to go and explore quicker resource base, like rich bases, like we have in StarCraft, right? You got a gold base, you got a rich gas base. You got a rich mineral base, you got a rich gas base. And technically, that's what an enriched... We don't have an enriched cluster to show you. There we go. Technically, that's what an enriched cluster is for, right? We can see these clusters that have been... so once the ore patch goes and is fully as big as it's ever going to be, patches start to go and become enriched clusters. And what that means is they mine faster. So that would technically be a rich base, I guess. But anyway, we're going to see this army move forward once again. Medtech's healing as well as they can. Target fire on the Magmadons as they run forward, but he's going to have to run away because, hey, you don't want to get infested. And by the way, gone is the bug where, like, if one unit in the clump got hit by the edge of a Nightfall infestation, every single unit got hit. It was really weird. But yes, that was a bug that is gone now. Only the units that actually get tagged by the spell actually get infested. But we can see the problem right now, right? Where this army is losing Luminite for ore. And yes, Elazer's been mining more ore for longer, but in this case, that's actually... I'm not going to say it's a problem, but it is a mitigating factor that makes life a little bit scarier for Elazer, because, well, you never run out... You never truly run out of Therium. It is a self-regenerating resource. You leave it alone long enough, and it will return. It can go down... It can mine out very, very quick. It can go down to one patch, and you're just not mining a ton whatsoever. So it can be a little bit awkward. And again, these are Lancers dying. These are Weavers dying. It is not an efficient trade whatsoever. Now, with the passive proc on everything, we see a shield again down on this one Exo that runs forward. Another Shroudstone gets assimilated. And we got to point this out. Elazer's kind of holding on, but he is spending so much Animus to do so. Like, this is significant numbers. It's 50 Animus per Shroudstone. It's 75 Animus to cover the map in Shroud like Elazer did. And yes, it's keeping him alive. So one can never begrudge someone for staying alive. But at the end of the day, the problem is that that's keeping you away from your dragon. That's Animus that's not being spent on things like Hellborn Resurgence. This ability to build a bunch of units at once, or really importantly in the context of this game, to build more imps, to catch up economically. It looks like we're going to see a bit of a late game Shroudstone rush coming on out of Elazer in this game. He sends the imp to the other side. I don't know if that's a Shroudstone rush or he wanted to take a base, but there is no spot to take a base. So, yeah, he's going to drop a Shroudstone on top of things. There's a drop on the left side. This is economic damage that Lucifron does have to deal with, probably. But his overcharge is going to be very late, so everything really should die. Problem is, He's got a catapult. He's got a big army as he tries to push up the ramp, and that means this static defense coming out of Elazer is not as powerful as it might otherwise be. The catapults are doing a really nice job of knocking them down. There's one hellborn on the high ground, but it's not targeting the Exos. It's targeting the Lancers, and let me tell you how much you care about that one. So this base stays alive. The Shroudstone is just nearly complete, but Lucifron wants to end the game with this. He's got, well, the catapult is untouched here. It's starting to do some damage to this hellborn, which is really, really nice. Again, with no Atlas on the map, you don't have a great way of getting on top of hellborn, short of diving on top of them, but the SimCity is really a problem for that. So you buy a catapult, you get it off the map, and you do damage to these hellborn, and now Lancers are going to get on top of things as well, and Elazer's in a pretty rough spot. Really and truly, he's got to have another Magmadon run in, but it's just dying so fast. Magmadons don't do a ton of damage, and now the catapults are just... The singular catapult is doing so much right now. And yeah, we're going to see more Animus spent on building more gods and trying to survive. We're going to see another Shroudstone get manifested. Like, the cooldowns here, when I play, it feels so long. When we're watching it, it actually feels really quick. But the attack is all down. And Elazer, he's holding on. He's trying to, but he's very dead in this game. There's not a whole lot he can do. He's got to drop in the main base, but... Again, his army can't fight, and at the end of the day, when you're talking about a game, any RTS game, it's technically your win condition is killing all the structures. Is elimination is the win condition technically, but players understand when they can no longer fight, and Elazer is yeah, he's gonna tap out very quickly. Lucifron ties us up. We're going to game 5. So Lucifron really seems to have figured things out at this point. To go and play greedy, and under this understanding that his opponent's going to be greedy, go for kind of a quick 3 command post play. I refuse to call it a quick 3 CP play. That is just not a good acronym. But a quick 3 command post play. Get one into a central command eventually, but delay that a little bit. And just go and play greedy. Build the bio army. Don't try to do this weird mech thing. Weavers are too good against that, and Elazer likes Weavers very clearly. Take the map. Trade aggressively. Win the game. And by the way, so I know I was talking about Infest last game and the fact that the bug was fixed. Yes, there are 3 different types of Infest, where they're not different types of Infest, 3 different instances of Infest. So Gaunt Infest, Nightfall Infestation, Dragon Infest, they're all the same mechanic, right? 10% damage over 10 seconds. If you die while under the effect of Infest, you get turned into a fiend. The interesting thing about that, the thing you have to keep in mind is they do stack. So Dragon Infest stacks with Gaunt Infest, Nightfall Infestation stacks with the both of them. That's where life gets a little bit interesting. This Gaunt is gonna maybe go down here. Lucifron tries to dock it with the scout, but hey, there's an imp right there, so it's gonna be fine. We're gonna have this nice little safe nook and cranny that can go hide into. Man, I'm sorry, I need to learn not to zoom. StarCraft observing habits. It's not exactly smooth, but he's got his little bunker he can look to hide in. There's nowhere. No one's gonna get on top of him. He's gonna be okay. And certainly a second Gaunt's gonna be out soon. So yeah, there we go. This scout's not gonna be able to do all that much. And there we go. Natural's down. No, there's no barracks. It's the greed. And I think this makes sense. Lucifron, he got damage done in the first game on this map, but it wasn't enough. Not really. Game 2, we saw a different map, and he was also trying to get damage done. Didn't do enough. Elazer outgreeds him, wins the game. Game 3 though, he opens 3 command posts at he gets his 3rd command post at 3 minutes, which is insane. It's incredibly greedy. But if you think about a triple or a Conclave Shrine Conclave opener, which is what Elazer's going for, this single Conclave opener, the Infernal player doesn't have a lot of map presence before 3:30 or so, 4 minutes or so. You really want to get up to about 6 Gaunts before you really start to go and start to try to creep out on the map. So because of that, you can do it with 4. You will take damage, and Scout can still be annoying. With 5 or 6, you're going to be a little bit happier. So the Scout's going to see, oh, okay, you're trying to take the right side base. Once again, I'm aware of that. Okay, so I kind of expected to see the quick 3rd command post once again, but instead it's quick natural into a Hornet play. And again, I don't really like the Hornet play. I like the Hornet play. I don't like the Hornet play against the Elazer. I think that's pretty fair to say. It's just, Elazer plays so greedy, that he does such a good job of outgreeding any sort of Hornet harass, and certainly for single hanger harass. Maybe there's a world you go double Hornet or double hanger, but I don't know if you have the ore for that actually. So even then, that's a little bit weird. Anyways, this scout, I think it might die on the. Oh no, it's gonna heal. Never mind, it's okay. As Fiends are gonna start to scout around here. So the first Hornet's gonna be out on the map, and that's not something that Elazer's really gonna have much vision of. And it's not gonna be the slow third command post, but it is gonna be a lot slower than it was in game number 2 or game number 3. And these Fiends in the main base, they represent some threat. Overcharge was. I thought I saw overcharge. No, sorry, that was a speed boost on these Fiends. So they're gonna get a couple bobs here, theoretically. Yeah, there we go. The bobs on the Therium will go down, and that is just, again, it's annoying. It's pain. Only one Fiend will die in exchange. So now Elazer's in this position where he's trying to get damage done with his Hornet. I don't know if he got any gaunts or not. Don't know if he spent shield yet or not. We were focusing on the other side. But this is still an Elazer that went double Conclave opener. Now he's building. If this was 1-1, I would really like the Hornet play, actually. Opening up Conclave Vault means that you have about half as many gaunts as you have right now. And that means Hornets can shred through them. They can start to snowball. It is really a significant problem. But if you open double Conclave, as Elazer has, you're going to have, even with gaunts being not the best anti-air, you're going to have enough away. You're going to really have enough to go and kind of handle things for the most part. Pure Gozu asks, are StarCraft 2 pros automatically good at Stormgate? I mean, I think eventually it takes some time to figure things out. Like, I've beaten, granted, Euthermal's not a pro anymore, but I've beaten Euthermal on ladder. I beat Harstem in like one of his first couple games back in the pre-alpha. There are other StarCraft pros. I've almost beaten Demu. I don't remember if I beat Demu. No, I was in a winning position versus Demu, and I threw it away. It was the thing. But like, it is, StarCraft pros are not automatically good at Stormgate, but you do have they have a lot of advantages to get good at it very quickly, right? In terms of, because this is even more than, like, say, the release of Age of Empires, which is truly the StarCraft retirement field. Even more than the release of Age of Empires. And this is a game that should feel very good to a Blizzard RTS fan. Yes, there are differences. They had drag scroll was inverted, and I personally, that's how I play, but other people don't, so it made them very sad. For example, and like the quick macro pad is pretty much set up how my custom grid works anyways. So like, for me, it feels really good. A lot of the kind of the baseline mechanics are exactly how I play StarCraft anyways. But for other people, it's maybe a little bit more painful. Even still, when we talk about this is this Doombringer drop, tries to find some value. There's a Hornet here that is it's gonna get shielded, and that actually makes a pretty big difference, but you're gonna have to repair it eventually. 3, 2, 1, shield should go down. I had that perfectly. Look at me, I'm so good. Okay, that's a little arrogant, but anyways, Hornet's gonna be annoying. Lancers are gonna try to get on top. There's the recall, and look at what Elazer is gonna do. He recalls. It's a 3-second cooldown. Last second, he loads up everything, runs away. One gaunt falls, but the rest of them get out. Very that's the fun micro that was available when they buffed the Doombringer, so it can now pick up in the air and not be on the ground. Meow, indeed, you're making fun of me for mentioning beating Euthermal or Harstem. That's incredibly topical when we're talking about how good StarCraft pros are. Like, am I gonna mention it all the time? No, but if we're talking about like how good are StarCraft pros at Stormgate, are they automatically good? Well, if I tell you that I beat a player who's much better at StarCraft than I am, that does say something. But yes, there are StarCraft ladder ranks. Parting is number 1. He has a 96% win rate on ladder. He is last I checked, he is 300 MMR ahead of the next closest player, but Euthermal, or excuse me, Lucifron was number 3 when this ladder qualifier ended. Elazer is currently number 4 on ladder, or at least he was when this game was played. I haven't checked in a couple days. The point being is that there is definitely there is a competitive ladder. You can, of course, check it out on stormgateworld.com. They do awesome things. As now this drop's going to try. Oh, it's going to get the Hornet. Very nice there. Now the Fiend is dead, of course, but that is one less drop control tool that Lucifron has available for himself. As he's on 4 base, this is his opponent getting ready to move up on 5, but he wants to start his aggression here. He's got upgrades on the Lancers. He's got upgrades on the Exos. This drop on the other side, though, forces an overcharge on the Bobs. The thing is, though, as the Exos are going to try to chase this down, it's hard. Again, also, oh, there we go. There's the recall. So it's going to go right back home. Takes damage, but not enough. So now Lucifron wants to get aggressive with this, right? He's got his medtechs, he's got his Lancers, they have their upgrades, he's got Exos, they've got their upgrades. This is this massive power spike for this army where it becomes incredibly difficult for the Infernal player to fight against it. So for now, he's going to try to deny a base. This upper left side is... so actually, this is a big deal. Elazer in the previous games did not get Flame on. The Imps did not have that. The Imps could not turn into Banelings and get damage done. So that's a big deal. Look what Elazer's getting set up. He's got a bunch of Imps on the left side. He's got this army on the right side. He's going to try to push his army into the army of his opponent. So target fire right now. Taps away. Just tickling these Lancers right now. Again, Flame on is really powerful, but you can target them down. You just do not want to make contact. So nice cutting. The last couple Imps do make contact. But the army is still here looking to chase through, and more Weavers will fall. And I love the Weaver. Maybe not in the game. That they're good. I think they have their place. But I just love the artistic style of them. They're just this massive Cthulian horror. They are so much bigger than anything else on them. Like look at how a Magmadon is fairly big, right? It's this big unit that an Imp is riding, and it's twice as tall. It is massive. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Something. There's a Tennyson poem that I always think of when I think of this. It's the great beast of something slouching towards a New Jerusalem. I forget exactly the line, but anyway, it's extremely extremely evocative, and it evokes the idea of these Weavers, which is pretty fun. Notice, by the way, Lucifron, he did take the Vision Camp. He's going to have that for another 2 minutes. And that allows him to kind of just sit here on the edge and play this aggressive style poke around, as the drop, by the way, shows up once again. This time it has healed itself all the way up fully in the health cam, so that means that it can last just a little bit longer. And we are starting to see some of these Bobs go down. The repairs are good, but only 2 Exos are not enough to properly deal with this. They're going to have to kite away. Fiends get spawned on top of that one, and well, now that's going to be that. It forces Lucifron back once again. As a reminder, by the way, this series is not itself for 10K. This was part of a tournament that was a $10,000 tournament. So this was to get into top 4. First place was $3,500. Second place was $1,500. I forget exactly how the payouts went, but tournament, the main event was $10,000. They added the bracket, or the open qualifier, the big 512 player bracket, was a little bit it was riddled with bugs. They added another, I think, like $1,200 to pay out to people that were in the qualifying round and failed to qualify in the qualifier because it was just such a snafu. So there was that. But this is a $10,000 tournament for the main event. Is these Exos. Ooh, that's a free Hellborn right there. And Hellborn attacks so slowly that they really don't get much of anything done. And this is starting to snowball a little bit for Lucifron right now, getting a lot of damage done right now, but he's going to wind himself onto the... Oh, no, Lucifron, this is not what you want right now. He's back against the wall. I don't know where he's looking. I guess drop on the bottom side. But his entire army is dead. Every little bit of tempo that he found is dead. Every tiny efficiency that he had was dead. I guess he was dealing with this drop, but Elazer found the perfect opportunity to punish. And that is just not what you want. This drop on the main base, it is a single gaunt, by the way. It is not the most effective drop, but all the tempo that Lucifron had that has allowed him to go take this base, every base on the map, and really start to exert his will on his opponent. It's all gone. This army is not as big as it was. It's not as upgraded as it, or it's not as veteran, I guess, as it was as Magmadon. We'll get targeted down. Nice job there, Lucifron, as they walk forward, mini stunning off his Lancers. But again, it's the Exos that are the damage. It's the Exos that truly matter. And the Magmadons are just in front to buffer for space, for time, as now imps are going to show up once again, burning around and making this really hard to go and get anything done. So now Lancers are going to get on top of things. Magmadons walk away, but Shroud falls on top of everything, so there's that white health healing on top, and these Hellborn are just doing wailing away. They have such a long range, and they attack very, very slowly. They attack extremely slowly. You actually can't retarget them. I mean, you can, but every time you retarget, it cancels their animation. They wind up from scratch. So it's anti-micro to retarget them, even if you want to target them on the Exos and not the Lancers. The fact now that they have is that, big infest on top of everything. Yeah, Lucifron's not kiting out of that one. He thinks he's got to take this fight right now. He doesn't want to lose the base. He's got this Atlas behind that is going to try to add the damage, but it's mostly out of range. And now we see Elazer pushing forward. Imps are going to try to get on top of things, and they're going to get some connections. But big deal. And we need to see this targeted down. There we go. The medtech turret's going to go down, and that is just free healing. It's not for any energy. Nanoswarm adding a little bit more healing on top just for these mech units on top of things to keep the medtechs alive. But this slow reinforcement line is causing significant problems. As now Elazer's trying to take this base. So too is Lucifron, by the way, dropping a turret there. But it's the fight at the front that's the problem. These five Hellborn with just enough units in front of them to make sure that they stay alive is causing so many problems. Infest onto everything as well, and I don't see a system shock. I don't see really a purge to try to make sure that these infest gets removed, which is again 10%. It spawns fiends. You really want to make sure that happens, but actually Lucifron's gonna get on top of the Hellborn right now. Tries to push right through. Hellborn are expensive. Every single one is 250 ore. It's a lot. It's a lot of power budget in 3, 5, 6 units that Elazer has. So to knock those down is a big deal. 2 Hellborn cost just a little bit less than a dragon. You know, they cost a little bit less luminite than they do ore, but I mean, these Hellborn are expensive. This dragon he's spawning a bunch of fiends on top of the bombs, which is annoying. There's no anti-air on this left side, and this dragon is really, I think it might even force Lucifron to give this base up. It's just going to harass on the left side, try to spawn fiends over time. And remember, the dragon, the Flayed Dragon, not only does it have a spell that casts Infest, not only does it attack apply Infest on top of that, but it's got this aura that says anytime a fiend's going to spawn, you spawn 1 extra fiend instead. So this dragon, left uncontested on a Luminite line, will do so very much. So the north side base, that Luminite, that gold only base right here, that's going to get taken down by all of these Hellborn. We got Vision on the high ground as well. An Atlas gets targeted down here. The scan gets nothing whatsoever. And this is starting to become a significant problem. The dragon is 50% HP, but it should be able to drop an infest and heal its white health up pretty quickly. And Magmadon on the top of these units as well. It just, at this point, Elazer has such an army lead, like such an army quality lead, that it's becoming very, very difficult for Lucifron to fight. Now he's going to cut through these fiends, and now he's going to try to get on top of these Gons. The trick is, it's going to take so long to get on top of the Hellborn on the back line. This long-range artillery that even has, yeah, are they the best unit against Lancers? No. They do, but they do a lot more damage than they used to. And they're going to start to slowly chip away at this army. Bobs are going to have to get pulled because fiends coming from behind. Magmadon on the back as well. And where's our dragon? Yeah, it's on the left side spawning fiends because that's what dragons do apparently. They spawn fiends. It's a problem. But at this point, Lucifron, his left side base is not dead just yet, but it will go down soon. His right side base is utterly broken. There's not a lot that Lucifron can hope to do. He was actually in a really solid spot. This game number 5, it felt like he had brought the game back, but he lost 2/3 of his army to a bunch of imps because he pretty much microed into a wall and gave himself no escape, and actually really wasn't microing against the imps whatsoever. And Elazer, he capitalizes. He runs across the map, and he moves on to the round of 4 here in the EGC $10,000 first StarCraft Major. Stormgate Major. There we go. Of course, if you like this, you want to see more Stormgate, more StarCraft, I upload VODs every single day of the week, so sub to the YouTube channel. I'll catch you next time.